for like a, restaurant.
These Americans beat Saddam Hussein in court, but can't collect. Wait till you hear who's stopping them. And thieves who specialize. They don't want the whole car, just one valuable part.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. It's been 2 weeks now, 2 weeks since the serial sniper began a murderous spree that has terrorized the Washington, D.C. area. 11 people shot, 9 of them killed, each with a single bullet, and each time the killer or killers have made a clean getaway. If police are any closer to catching the person or persons tonight, they're not saying. What they are saying is that what they believe to be some leads that looked promising last night look less so tonight. CBS's Joey Chin has more about that and about one potentially critical piece of evidence that may be becoming the principal hope of the investigation. Joey?
Dan, the focus tonight, law enforcement sources tell CBS News, is on the fragment of a license plate number witnesses have been able to give them. It is helping them to narrow the search for the suspect's vehicle, but other tips have proven to be less helpful. The witnesses gave investigators a lot of information, but not all of it will be of much use. For example, someone saw the gunman lean on a van to take aim at his victim and fire from no more than 60 feet away. That witness says the van left the lot at a normal pace, no hurry. But he can't say if there was more than one person in the van and doesn't remember what the shooter looked like. Neither did others who have spoken to police.
Fortunately, distance and darkness and perhaps adrenaline have made them unable to give us a clear composite.
Despite what they've learned, police have so little hard evidence to go on, they handed out a flyer on how to be a good witness. Key points: stay safe, look in the direction of the sound, look around at the people and vehicles nearby, focus on the things the suspect can't change easily, like height or weight, write everything down, and avoid talking to reporters. As they continue to search motor vehicles records for a match to that partial license plate number, investigators say this is a stronger lead than the descriptions of the shooter that have been given so far. They hope to connect a license number to a cream-colored Chevy Astrovan seen at the Home Depot, and have also passed out generic pictures of an Astrovan and a Ford Econoline reported at other crime scenes. Witnesses said it might be white or light-colored with a ladder rack on top. And investigators still hope to locate the white box truck spotted at some of the Maryland shootings. There is a composite illustration of that vehicle, although it looks like a fairly typical delivery truck. Then there is the weapon, though they've narrowed the search to a handful of possibilities like these rifles, commonly used by hunters and marksmen. One witness is convinced he saw a particular kind of weapon, though police aren't sure how solid that lead is. And again, law enforcement sources tell us they just don't have enough information to put together a composite sketch of the suspect for the public. However, they have started to work on a sketch that will be used just by investigators. Now, it would outline the general shape and size of the individual, but no facial features or no skin color. That's because they're concerned that the lighting in the parking deck may have misled the witnesses. Dan?
Joey Chin reporting live from Rockville, Maryland. Thanks. There has never been a serial killer quite like this one, or an investigation run quite the way this one is being run. So far, no single agency has taken charge, for better or worse. CBS's Bob Orr reports on growing questions about the managing of this manhunt.
Cream-colored van with a ladder rack. Left rear tail light is out.
The desperate search for the Washington sniper is now one of the biggest criminal investigations in U.S. history, rivaling the dragnet for Martin Luther King assassin James Earl Ray, the 17-year search for Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, and the manhunt for accused Olympic bomber Eric Rudolph. Yet police here are trying to catch an even more prolific killer in an unconventional way.
It is a committee. One person doesn't have to be in charge of an investigation.
In fact, there are 3 generals, one agent from the ATF, another from the FBI, and Montgomery County, Maryland Police Chief Charles Moose.
Well, I think the progress is going really well.
But 2 weeks into the sniper's spree, the killer remains free, and police have acknowledged precious little evidence, sharing only vague artist sketches of possible getaway vehicles.
The first one is an Astrovan.
From the outside, it looks like the police don't have much at all. We can only hope they have more, and it's under wraps somewhere, but that may not be likely.
The apparent shortage of suspects and evidence is not for a lack of manpower. At least 2,000 officers are working around the clock in an investigation that reaches across 2 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 separate county police jurisdictions. And at least 6 federal forces are involved, from Customs and the Secret Service to the U.S. Army, which is providing surveillance aircraft in the search for the sniper.
Well, you know, everybody has egos. Everybody in a case like this has the desire to make the arrest.
Jim Shalick, who was part of the task force that tracked down and prosecuted New York's infamous Son of Sam killer, says it may be time to unify the sniper investigation under the FBI's command.
In a case like this, there's only one way to judge how an investigation is going, and that's with an arrest. If there's no arrest, people are going to question the effort.
Local jurisdictions will seek federal help in paying for the multi-million-dollar investigation. But investigators say they will spend whatever more it takes and debate the bills later, as long as the killer is loose. Bob Orr, CBS News, Washington.
With no apparent motive for these random sniper attacks, one question being raised in this post-9/11 world is, could there be a terrorist organization connection? CBS's Jim Stewart has been working his sources to come up with some answers to that. Jim, what have you found?
Well, Dan, when you asked the question of whether terrorists could be responsible for the Washington area shootings, the official answer back very quickly is that you can't rule it in, you can't rule it out. But privately, not one person wearing a badge that we've spoken to believes that organized terrorism is behind these attacks.
Speculation about terrorist involvement was stirred again after a recent comment by Homeland Security Advisor Tom Ridge.
Whether or not it may fall in a more limited definition of an attack predicated upon or in an attempt to achieve some political result remains to be seen. I don't think we can foreclose that.
And in fact, some lawmen concede that at the end of this investigation, you could have a case like the one this summer at the Los Angeles airport, where a lone Arab-American man attacked passengers at the Israeli airline counter. It's possible, though not likely, agents say, someone has launched his own jihad in this case as well. But that's a far cry from Al-Qaeda, which goes for big, showy targets, like the World Trade Center towers, an American warship, or a nightclub in Bali. Sad to say, too, but if this were Al-Qaeda, lawmen believe, they would be doing a far bigger and better job of it, scattering several gunmen over several cities to spread the terror.
Because spreading terror is what terrorism is all about, investigators insist. If this were Al-Qaeda, the reasoning goes, they would have no reason not to take credit, because that would make people even more fearful. Dan?
Jim Stewart in our Washington Bureau. Indonesian police are questioning 2 men about the suspected Al-Qaeda bombing last weekend on the island of Bali. More than 180 people were killed, and the Indonesian government promised today to impose tough new anti-terror laws. But CBS's David Martin reports tonight that to U.S. officials, it's too little, too late.
Even before the bomb that destroyed this Bali nightclub went off, the U.S. was demanding Indonesia arrest the leader of a group called Jamaah Islamiyah, which is now believed to have joined forces with Al-Qaeda to carry out the deadly attack. Abu Bakar Bashir denies any involvement in the attack and remains a free man, but there's not much doubt whose side he's on. In an interview today, he called Osama bin Laden an Islamic hero and said the only terrorists in the world are the U.S. and Israel. He even claimed the bomb which caused all this carnage was planted by American intelligence. In the past, the Indonesian government has maintained there was not enough evidence to arrest him, although U.S. officials say the real reason was fear of angering his many followers.
After ignoring American warnings, Indonesian officials now are at least talking about getting tough on terrorism. But whatever happens in Indonesia, Al-Qaeda and its subsidiaries around the world are a long way from being out of business.
In Yemen today, the Interior Minister finally acknowledged that the fire aboard this French tanker was not an accident, but was caused by a small boat attack similar to the one which nearly sank the USS Cole 2 years ago. He said a number of people have already been arrested. But in Yemen or Indonesia, arresting people after the attack is a poor substitute for preventing the attack. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
You may want to note that, as incredible as it may seem, various news reports indicate that not a few Indonesians say they suspect the U.S. military was behind the Bali bombing. Their stated theory being an anti-Muslim American military wants bases and influence in their country. Other Indonesians view this as an outrageous and dangerous falsehood. President Bush today again pressed his case for forcing Saddam Hussein to disarm, this time at a ceremony attended by the president's cabinet and members of Congress. President Bush now has the authority he needs to go after Saddam militarily if he fails to comply. CBS's John Roberts joins us now from the White House. John?
Dan, that congressional authority to go to war is just the hammer President Bush was looking for, and he immediately used it today to hit the UN Security Council firmly over the head.
The broad resolve of our government is now clear to all, clear to everyone to see.
The statement is meant to give a shove to France, which has so far refused to sign on to a U.S. draft resolution demanding Iraq disarm. Sources tell CBS News the UN process is coming down to the wire. And while a meeting today between Secretary of State Powell and the French defense minister was all smiles and handshakes in public, behind closed doors, Powell is leaning heavily on France, insisting now is the time to get it done. President Bush today also warned Saddam not to lash out at Israel as he did during the Gulf War, firing 39 Scud missiles into Tel Aviv and other cities. Meeting with Ariel Sharon, Mr. Bush said, if Iraq were to launch an unprovoked attack, Israel has the right to self-defense.
If Iraq attacks Israel tomorrow, I would assume the Prime Minister would respond.
But if Iraq lashes out in response to a U.S. attack on Saddam, then the equation changes. In that case, the administration would prefer Israel stay out of the fight. Though the White House would only say publicly today it will do all it can to neutralize Saddam's weapons and prevent that attack from happening. Dan?
John Roberts reporting live from the White House. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, Saddam used these Americans as human shields in the first Gulf War. Now, they say, the U.S. government is helping Saddam avoid justice for causing their fear and pain. You'll see why next.
Right now, you can get 50% off all lenses at LensCrafters. 50% off every lens we carry, even featherweights and no-line bifocals. No hidden costs or catches. People should definitely not miss this.
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends soon.
Consider this. New Shell gasoline is specially formulated to help prevent deposits in your engine. And a clean engine performs better. Is it any wonder, then, why so many drivers choose Shell?
If your Bank of America credit or check card is ever stolen and used fraudulently, you won't be liable for a cent, and will replace your loss by the end of the next business day. Guaranteed. Introducing Total Security Protection, our way of looking out for you so you can feel safer using your cards. It's free, automatic, and only from Bank of America.
Pepto-Bismol. It's first aid for heartburn, diarrhea, nausea, indigestion, and upset stomachs.
This is a shrimp boat, and this is a boatload of shrimp. 30 mix and match shrimp for just $9.99 now at Red Lobster. Boatload. Got it.
BB King on blood glucose testing.
If I can do that without having to hurt myself, then I'll do it. I'll do it every time I should. But if I've got to hurt BB King, I don't like to hurt me for nothing. One song make you laugh or sing.
The One Touch Ultra requires less blood, so you can test on your arm where it's less painful.
One touch can change everything. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The One Touch Ultra. Wherever you go, whatever you go through, dry, scratchy, irritated eyes don't have to come with the territory. You've got Visine Tears. Whenever eyes get dry, scratchy, irritated, Visine Tears can soothe, moisturize, and protect like your own natural tears. And best of all, Visine Tears is safe to use as often as you need. Visine Tears relieves dry eyes like your own natural tears.
No one knows what desperate measures Saddam Hussein might try to avoid another war with the United States. The last time, little more than a decade ago, he took American civilians hostage as what he called human shields. And now, those Americans feel they've been abandoned by their own government. CBS's Byron Pitts reports tonight's Eye on America.
Okay. That's a good girl, Max.
For James Roach and his wife Young Hee, America's walk towards war with Iraq is a familiar one. The last time the U.S. prepared to take dead aim at Saddam Hussein, Jim Roach was an American businessman in Baghdad, turned human shield.
I said to myself, this is it. I was very scared when it all sunk in that I may not get out of Iraq alive.
Paul Eliopoulos felt the same.
We're lined up on walls, and we had armed people in front of us with machine guns. There were several times we thought we were going to die.
4.5 months of emotional and physical abuse, dehumanizing.
Even when you had to go to the bathroom, there were always armed people there with you, looking at you. So you were not a human being.
Eventually, the hostages were freed as Saddam turned them loose in an effort to avoid war. First stop, Frankfurt, Germany.
I was so happy, I couldn't believe it.
The end of one ordeal, the beginning of another. 178 victims filed a civil lawsuit against Saddam Hussein for acts of terrorism. They won a judgment for $93 million in damages, money from Iraqi assets frozen by the U.S. government. Money the U.S. Treasury and State Department are now refusing to turn over.
If I ever get any money out of it, that isn't what's important. The important thing is to let Hussein know that he has no right to do what he did.
The Bush administration says it's sympathetic to the hostages, but it resists compensation with frozen assets awarded by the courts and is fighting a congressional effort to require payment. To, quote, preserve the prerogatives of the president in foreign affairs. For example, during the war against the Taliban in Afghanistan, the U.S. froze Afghan assets. When a new interim government took control, the U.S. released those funds to help jumpstart the new government. That leaves those former human shields and their lawyers angry and in limbo.
That the State Department would stand in the way of American citizens receiving compensation for terrorist acts from money belonging to the terrorist is an absolute outrage.
During his time in captivity, Jim Roach's sister kept a journal, a calendar of key moments. The day Roach was captured, that first phone call home when he broke down and cried.
You broke down?
Yeah, I did. That I did. I'd probably do it right now.
Memories that will linger a lifetime.
Sorry.
Whether or not he ever receives a dime. In Frederick, Maryland, this is Byron Pitts for Eye on America.
2 years after the massive foul-ups in the last presidential election, Congress today gave final approval to what's called an election reform bill. This bill would provide almost $4 billion, much of it to individual states, to replace old voting machines, train poll workers, and combat fraud. President Bush will sign it into law, but it will not take effect in time for the election next month. You're watching the CBS Evening News, and up next, these headlights are turning out to be the latest headache for some car owners. CBS will tell you why in a moment.
Teeth are made out of, like, hard stuff. I don't know. I have 100 teeth. Dental floss.
Our children really need good dental care and education. So Crest came to us and said, we can help.
Do you know how to take care of your teeth? You could brush your teeth in soft circles.
That's what I want you to do.
I want to have a great smile when I grow up.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who's searching for a way to get back into the rhythm of life, maybe it's time you ask your doctor about Ambien. Or call toll-free 1-877-9-AMBIEN.
It's better than beef and mushrooms soup.
Campbell Select beef with portobello mushrooms and rice. It starts with real beef stock, not water like yours. And Campbell Select beef progresso in a taste test. Hey.
That is better.
Campbell Select.
What have you been up to, Mr. Moneybags?
It's okay. I put it on the credit card.
Those interest charges are going to get us.
Don't worry. It's our new Capital One No Hassle card.
card has the nation's lowest long-term fixed rates, $0 fraud liability, and no telemarketing.
What's in your wallet?
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-wop, 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 do-wop.
Thanks for saving the spot, boys.
It's end of the day, and your dry clean only clothes show it. So just how easy is it to get them clean and fresh? Frankly, pretty darn easy. Dry out, zip it, steam it, hang it. Love it.
The Sniper Murders. Our ongoing coverage of the manhunt continues amid a growing number of questions about the massive investigation. Tomorrow, finding the weapons. Authorities know about the bullets, they know about the guns, so why can't they trace them? That story and more on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
On the CBS Market Watch, it was take the money and run on Wall Street after a 4-session run-up that saw the Dow gain nearly 1,000 points. Profit takers swooped in today, and the Dow gave back more than 200. The Nasdaq lost 50. There's still a booming market in automobile theft, and the thieves are especially interested these days in one auto part in particular. Tonight's report by CBS's Lee Cowan will shed some light on the facts for you.
Frank Petroka may seem a little paranoid about his parking.
So he's parked just so his car is very visible.
But that more visible spot may just save him thousands of dollars.
So they won't be able to come in and do what they did last time.
What they did was this.
This is your common damages, removal of the lights.
You heard right, headlights. It's the new trend in auto theft. What the stereo was in the 80s or the airbag was in the 90s. Why?
Because they're so expensive.
It's not just any headlight. These are filled with xenon gas and give off that moon blue light seen glowing from so many luxury cars these days. The problem? That new look is such a temptation, thieves will do just about anything to get it.
And they physically break the whole front end assembly off the front of the car. They stick a crowbar in this area and just push the bumper down and they remove this whole assembly.
Where do they go?
As my service manager and I have come to find out, a lot of them are on eBay.
Indeed they are. Just the bulbs can sell for hundreds of dollars. As for the victim,
well, the average repair runs up to approximately $6,000.
Even dealers are being hit. This one had to hire a security guard and send its mechanics back to the drawing board.
This is a shock sensor?
They came up with this.
What this does is it detects an impact to the front of the vehicle.
Whoever thought your headlights would need their own security system? There is, however, light at the end of this tunnel. Police say that once the headlights become more common, chances are their demand on the black market will probably drop. They caution, however, until then, don't expect the thieves to stay in the dark. Lee Cowan, CBS News, New York.
Some people take what isn't theirs, but not Joe Temeshko. He gave all that was his. Temeshko was a self-employed carpenter, lived modestly in Minneapolis, fixing up old toys and furniture. And 2 weeks before his death at age 86, 1 year ago, he wrote a will leaving his estate to New York City. He said he wanted to honor victims of 9/11. Turns out Temeshko's legacy, his gift to New York, totals almost $1.5 million. Coming up next, the pictures CBS saved for last.
Early Sunday morning, a winter day. It's breakfast time. They're on their way. They can smell the cinnamon.
Nothing brings my family to the table like these grand cinnamon rolls from Pillsbury. They're not just ordinary cinnamon rolls, they're grand.
Yeah, who can resist that cinnamon kiss from Pillsbury?
And try new Grand Orange Sweet Rolls with creamy orange icing.
They're grand!
Consider this. New Shell gasoline is specially formulated to help prevent deposits in your engine. And a clean engine performs better. Is it any wonder, then, why so many drivers choose Shell?
The Big Flipper Max. Double the size so you can pick up and trap more dirt, dust, and hair in half the time. Flipper Max.
Wherever you go, whatever you go through, dry, scratchy, irritated eyes don't have to come with the territory. You've got Visine Tears. Whenever eyes get dry, scratchy, irritated, Visine Tears can soothe, moisturize, and protect like your own natural tears. And best of all, Visine Tears is safe to use as often as you need. Visine Tears relieves dry eyes like your own natural tears.
Marie Callender began every recipe the same way, with care. And her country fried chicken was no exception. Marie served it up with mashed potatoes, slowly whipped with real cream. And corn? Well, Marie thought it best eaten right off the cob. Marie Callender put her heart into everything she made. And to this day, we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's country fried chicken dinner in your grocer's freezer. Made with the care of Marie.
Endless recital or endless allergies? When seasonal allergies drain your enthusiasm, Allegra can help. Only Allegra has fexofenadine, so unlike many other antihistamines, it won't make you drowsy. And Allegra gives you 24-hour relief. For people 12 and older, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. So tune back in. Talk to your doctor about switching to Allegra. Once daily Allegra, real relief for real living.
What was behind a dramatic beating on board an Oregon school bus?
An expert talks about the psychology involved on Coin 6 News at 6. Pictures sometimes make news, and sometimes they're just, well, kind of interesting. With that in mind, we end the broadcast tonight with one very unusual picture. Yes, that really is a whole horse stuck inside a pipe. And yes, as you can see, it took quite a bit of doing to get the horse out. It happened in California about 24 hours ago, and you must be wondering how this saga of the horse in the hole began. Simple. It fell through the plywood covering a septic tank. The rescue took more than 2 hours. And here's all of him. A 3,000-pound Clydesdale named Budweiser. And they say Bud's doing just fine. That's part of our world tonight. I'll be back shortly with what we think is a very interesting 60 Minutes, too. He shot a priest in broad daylight and confessed. Will he go to jail? Maybe not. Plus, chocolate chip cookie? How many CEOs do you know who hand out snacks and pick up trash? He does, and his company is taking off. 60 Minutes, 2, tonight at 8, 7 Central. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Back in a few on 62.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News. The Sniper Murders. Why can't police trace the weapons? Tomorrow, experience CBS News. Next on Coin 6 News at 6.
A man accused of trying to wage war against America had terrorist plans for Portland Jews. Tonight, the detail.
A beating on an Oregon school bus sparks outrage. Tonight, how to protect your child from bullies.
And it's a steal of a deal how Portlanders can save thousands of dollars in property taxes.
Now, with Julie Emery and Jeff Gianola. This is Coin 6 News at 6.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coin 6 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Julie Emery.
And I'm Jeff Gianola. Here's the latest. One of the Portlanders accused of supporting foreign terrorists apparently scouted Jewish locations here in town as potential terrorism targets. But as Coin 6's Drew Mickelson reports tonight, the allegations aren't scaring too many local Jewish congregations.
Jeffrey Battle apparently said to an FBI informant he wanted to take part in an armed assault on a Jewish synagogue or school in Portland and actually scouted out some locations. But prosecutors say that's as far as the plan went. U.S. attorneys say Battle instead decided to try to fight against the U.S. in Afghanistan. According to a spokesperson, the Jewish Federation of Portland was unaware of the undercover recording until it was made public last week. Since then, the Jewish group met with the terrorism task force. but their spokesperson was told to keep the details